So did you break or crack something that's plastic? No problem. You can probably weld that back together. Well, melt it back together pretty much. But anyways, I picked up one of these plastic welding kits from Harbor Freight. It's more or less a soldering gun with a special tip on it. The tip's really the key part. It's like this little triangle thing, but it worked really good. It even comes with some plastic sticks if you need to fill in some spots. And it comes with this little brush, and also comes with this this wire mesh. If you want to make it really strong, you can sandwich that in between some of the melted plastic and make the joint really strong. I had cracked the radiator shroud and a couple fan blades on my truck. Hit a deer, and instead of buying a $150 new shroud and fan, I'm just melting this back together here with this iron. Now, I'm not using any of the sticks or anything, and you don't really have to. This is pretty thick plastic. You can just melt it back together like I'm doing here. We'll get the gun heated up, the temperature, let it heat all the way up first. And you can see I'm starting there. I don't think the gun was heated up enough yet. I was kind of just messing around. This is my actual first time messing with it too. But definitely a lot easier once the gun's heated all the way up. Now, if you're messing with thinner plastic, I think that's what those sticks are for. I haven't tried thin plastic yet. Definitely probably be a lot more challenging. You would probably want some filler. And you can see the gun's going to start getting heated up here. I'm going to be able to start dragging that faster. I'm going to show you this in its entirety, kind of what I did here. And after I did this first one, I flipped it over too and got some on the other side too, as good as I could. And it turned out really strong too. I mean, surprisingly, it surprised me. You even just zap it a little bit, a couple of spots, it's pretty much back together permanently. I mean, so I'm going to flip it over to this side here. The gun's definitely warmed up a lot more now. You'll see I'll be able to start moving it faster. Let it melt a nice little puddle first. I'm going to start just dragging it. I was stopping in little intervals and letting it melt a little more. After I got the little bit of practice in on that first one, here's another crack on that radiator shroud. I was just testing here. The gun is fully heated up now. You can see I just did that little spot and it's pretty much back together pretty strong there. So I'm going to continue this one. I can definitely start moving that a little long and faster. This is a pretty awesome little tool too, because I was just gonna buy like a soldering gun, like one of the 180 watt ones to try to use. But really the key here is that tip on this thing. And you can see I went right over that label too. I was like, screw it, it'll probably melt through that. And it sure did. But yeah, that tip, that little triangle tip is definitely the key to this thing. If you had a powerful soldering iron, you could find one of those tips. You just put it on there, but this is an 80 watt iron too. Most regular soldering irons aren't that powerful. Then I flipped it over and got some on the inside just to make sure it's extra strong. I didn't really melt it quite as much on this inside one. I just went over it pretty fast, but the gun's definitely got hotter and hotter, so you can see it's melting it pretty good there. The fan blades were a little bit more interesting to weld back together, but it still ended up working out just fine here. I got them in spot. You can see I just did essentially like a little tack weld there. got that held together there. You can see it's not going anywhere. And just had to fit it back together nice and snug. Ended up doing that one kind of out of the camera shot. I didn't realize it, but you can see pretty much the same thing I was doing before. And just going and taking it down a little further, making sure it's nice and strong. Okay, so you can see this one a little better here. Made sure it's nice and snug, and then just did kind of the same thing, a little tack weld there. Now, if you're wondering if this would make the fan off balance and vibrate, probably not, because if you think about it, the same amount of material is pretty much there. I'm not really adding any material or anything, it's just melting it, so the weight's probably pretty much the same. Can't really see anything from this view, but I did get in from this side and try to get the other side of the blades a little bit too. Here's a shot of the final thing here. Looks pretty good. Definitely strong. It's gonna work. Hold it together. That one looks a little better. Not really going for looks, just happy I didn't have to spend 150 bucks on a new assembly here. Fan blades worked good. Hooked it up. No vibrations or anything. Quite happy about that.
So for a whole whopping $14.99 is what I paid for this at Harbor Freight. You get your money's worth, because that radiator and fan would have cost me $150 to buy brand new, so I consider that quite the savings. But I'm only going to give this thing 9 out of 10 stars, because after using it a little bit, this tip started to bend a little bit, which doesn't seem to be a big problem, but the tip is really the key component of this here. I would have to pretty much buy a whole nother set just to get a new little triangle tip guy, and I don't know why it's bending. It doesn't seem to be loose, but either way, for it's probably still fine. Use it a few more times, but hey, 9 out of 10 stars. Why not? 14 bucks, man. Come on, awesome product.